Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Himbar, and today I'll be doing my spoiler-free review. Wow. Obviously, I recorded something too much. No, thanks, and welcome to Liam's Leapings number 79, my weekly update for the 9th of March, 2023. I finished 4 books this week. Didn't really write anything. I was really close to doing it. I don't have, anything submitted right now. Everything's been rejected. So, it's a big shame. I'll start off with the short stories I read, actually. So, I read Memorabilia by Timaeus Bloom. This was in How? No, it is not How. Sorry. It is from Cosmic Horror Monthly, the March 2024 issue, so it just came out. I bought the issue just to read this, and that's the only thing I read in there. Maybe I'll read more later, but this was worthwhile. It's very interesting style of just being told something, but not really with dialogue markers, or quotation marks or something. And you get the story in a very interesting way. It's pretty dark. Merry Christmas, everyone. No, anyways. And then I also read A Game of Let by Joanna Russ. That my Wednesday video, unless I record another video and put that out, and this Wednesday instead should be me talking about A Game of Let. It was fun to read, so hopefully you watch that. I also did continue the book of 3 with my daughters. And then I finished. I put them all down here. So let's see. I finished Stargate by Andre Norton. Well, it's cool, world building. It's interesting because for the first 50 pages, it's immerses you in this world building, right? And it doesn't really get interesting plot wise until about 50 pages in when you're more used to this world building ideas. And then once you get to the plot, it's boring as hell. And so you're generally not. I wasn't good for the first 50 pages. You get to the plot and you're like, wow, it's gonna pick up, and it just doesn't because it's such a straightforward plot that it just kind of ends when it ends, right? So another bust basically for Andre Norton. My second Andre Norton book. Honestly, I might not read another thing by her. Witch World maybe, because I actually, you know what? I've never heard anything specifically good about that series. I don't even know which book to start with, but I've heard Witch World thrown around. That's really about it. But boring so far. Always disappointed for some reason. I mean, it's only been 2 books, but disappointed with both those books. They're both really short too, so it's a shame. You'd think that you'd be able to keep my attention for that little bit of time. And speaking of, this book is actually around the same length, probably a little shorter. But this is The Place of Stars and Bones by G. Owen Wares. I read a book by him last week. Read another one. This one's not as good. This one's more Dark Soulsy-esque. I could see this if it was shorter, obviously being published in Old Moon Quarterly, something like that. It's fun. It's hard to guess at the plot, right? Because the main character has amnesia, right? And so, but it's a fun enough ride. It's short enough and interesting enough. It's a good use of language, evocative in a Clark Ashton Smith imagery sort of way. Not the same form nearly at all as Clark Ashton Smith. Very different style, but kind of similar vein of what's actually going on in the story, maybe. So yeah, interesting, good cover too. So I have one more book by Wares, which I got this week as well. So I actually got that this week. So and then the 2 other books I finished, the first it being The Fallbacks, Bound for Ruin by J. Lee Johnson, the new Dungeons and Dragons novel. I read this all in one day actually. But I already came out with a review for it. I moved my Friday review to Tuesday. And so you'll get 2 sci-fi reviews in a row, Monday, Tuesday. But I already shared my thoughts. You can go listen to them. Mostly though, the story itself is okay. I'm disappointed just because of what the Forgotten Realms novels were before. Is the story bad? No, but it's not what it was. It's not the same, and that's disappointing. Especially since I like the older style better, anyways. The change wouldn't be so bad if it was better. Change for the better, but it wasn't. And then The Burning Stone. I didn't have much left of this last week. It's really freaking long. That really bummed me out. It's just in a lot of the stuff that is fun, cool progress in books 1 and 2 is just kind of undone in this one. So while you get a lot more world building, a lot more expanding upon of things, it was originally supposed to be a trilogy. So you can tell epic fantasy writers have problems and they just can't help themselves, and they just they're like a cancer. They just keep on growing. Their series do. Anyways, no, I enjoyed it still. Just not as much as the first two books. The next one's even longer, I'm pretty sure. So, um, and then I made some progress. Actually, I'm almost done with Eric Bright Eyes. Okay, here's my old copy. Who is this from? Zebra Heroic Fantasy. This one has an introduction by Lynn Carter. I'm almost done. Like there's like a sliver left. But I also got the new Upsala Books version. I haven't read any of the additional stuff provided in this one. It's funny. There's a preface by the author that's not even included in this one. I like the Lynn Carter introduction, but I think the Tom Shippey one will be more worthwhile in some ways. So I'm going to finish the story and then I'll do the extra stuff in this one. And we'll see how that goes. Let's probably keep these both out, actually. Oh, I have my copy of Woden up here because I read like a little bit of the introduction to Woden as well. I just couldn't help myself because I also read a little bit of the Bhagavad Gita, which is sitting over there, also by Upsala Books. Some good stuff. Anyways, I also started Stormlight by Ed Greenwood. I've recently read some more Ed Greenwood, but wanted to read more. This is actually funny. I like this one a lot. It's really absurd. It's very much Ed Greenwood. I could give you more specifics, and maybe you would decide whether Ed Greenwood's for you or not. He's a very divisive author, I feel like. A lot of people just really don't like him. I think he's kind of hit or miss in some ways, depending on how focused he stays. He's always silly, though. I mean, his Elminster books tend to be a little bit more focused, so I like that. I'm meaning to read Elminster and Hell because I didn't read any Elminster last year, but I'm liking it. I like it a lot, actually, to be honest. And it helps me with Cormier stuff because I'm running a D&D campaign in Cormier. This is set in Cormier, of course, about Storm. Hence the name Stormlight. Discount Stormlight from Brandon Sanderson. No, that's a joke. This is the better Stormlight. I'm just joking, anyways. I doubt like almost anyone would think that, actually. And then I'm also started The Birthgrave by Tanith Lee. I'm not super far into it. Let's see how far I am. I'm on page 68. This is Tanith Lee's adult debut. She's written children's stuff before, but this is her adult debut. Interesting, like coming of age, sword and sorcery, science fantasy, I think technically, with sword and sorcery, and interesting. Not 100% gripping yet. It's sold in first person, which is surprising. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about this book, really, apparently. What is funny, I mentioned this book in a video last year. No, might have been 2022 now, about Epic Fantasy's bloat problem, which it does have a bloat problem. If anyone disagrees, well, you're wrong. Anyways, because when I got this book originally, there's like a comment on the back and an instruction saying this is a really long fantasy book. We don't see fantasy books this long. And I was like, that's crazy. This book's 400 pages. That's like small by a lot of people's epic fantasy standards these days. Of course, this came out in 1975. Epic fantasy wasn't really much of a thing at that point. I mean, Sword of Shannara didn't come out until 77. So this was long. And I would actually say it is long. 400 pages is long, especially when you're reading a lot of books that are like 200 pages. So, but I'm enjoying it. I look forward to reading more of it. The book I started was The Player of Games. I'm on chapter 2. They're very long chapters, like 4 chapters in this book, maybe 5 or something like that. I'm enjoying it. He's very much taking. I'm surprised how much he's taking his time to get to the actual game. I was a little surprised by that, but I'm enjoying it still. It is Ian M. Banks. So far, I'm not enjoying it as much as Consider Phlebas. Maybe in the end, I'll enjoy it more. It seems to be generally liked more than Consider Phlebas, but there are definitely different themes explored in this one. It's very interesting. Feels so different compared to the first one, which I like. I like where you can get a good variety. Now that I'm decently ways into this, I think those are all the books I'm reading. Yeah. So a couple of the other books I got that I didn't, start reading immediately. Well, first I should mention this. Actually, my buddy Jerry. It's kind of a birthday present. My birthday's not quite yet, but it is upcoming. Funnily enough, my anniversary is today, actually, though. Fought for the Grey Mouser omnibus comic. Pretty sneaking cool. I'm not huge into comics. I've read some Forgotten Realms comics in recent years, and I've read I read some when I was younger, like Superman type of stuff. So this will be interesting, I think. Just because Far from the Grey Mouser is good, I think I'll probably give it a go and enjoy it probably. I do like prose more than the compensation of pictures, at least in comic book form. If it's a movie, I like that too. But generally, comics are not my thing. But it would be cool to read, and I appreciate it, Jerry. This is really cool. I did not have this, and since it's Far from the Grey Mouser, it's like the perfect one, right? Right, like any other comics for fantasy, and I would be like, I mean, I'll read it probably, but like Far from the Grey Mouser, that's like the coolest one you could have got. So that's very cool. And thanks again, Jerry, if you're watching. And then the last book I got was again that other Geo and Ware's book, Welkin the Return. I think it's the first in a series. About some, it says fantasy noir. It's about some old wizard or something. So I'm not really sure. It's more recent, I think, of his books. So, anyways, this guy has released quite a bit actually, but his covers, he always gets good covers, and he's not like popular at all. They almost look like they're AI covers, but they're always credited to actual people. I don't look them up. I assume they're real people. All right. So good covers, I guess, but not a popular self-published author. I don't seem to read popular anything, whether it's been traditionally published. That's not true. I'll read some, obviously. But in a lot of ways, right? Like a lot of people make a big deal out of self-published books, and I've been reading self-published books for over a decade, like 12 years, something like that, right? And so I like them too. I just like the ones I like. Yeah. Anyways, let me know what y'all are reading. I got a big D&D game planned for Sunday. I'm really excited for it. It's gonna be a dungeon. I laid out the layers of the dungeon here. It's a wizard's tower that's floating. I didn't make this up actually. It's in I designed the dungeon, but the tower itself is in Forgotten Realms lore. It's in some magic school in Kieranwood in Cormyr. The school got destroyed, and the tower is the tower that will not fall, or whatever, because it doesn't fall. The rest of it didn't fall. The bottom floors are destroyed, but the rest of it's still standing, floating there. Anyway, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, have a good reads, I guess.